let's go ahead with a speech by our one of our sponsoring partners, Alchemy Pay. Joining us today is Robert McCracken. So he's going to give a speech about Alchemy. So yeah, Rob, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. You're ready for me now, Alvin. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, Alvin. It's a pleasure to be here. Really a pleasure to be part of the fantastic hackathon that you guys have put on. Just want to say thank you very much to Moledao, Felicia, Alvin, everyone on the team over there. Done a fantastic job. And not only just for the hackathon, but also I think everything that Moledao is doing in terms of providing sort of resources and educational information for people working in blockchain development, I think is absolutely fantastic as well. Congratulations, of course, to everyone who took part in the hackathon. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. I know there have been some really great projects and some really innovative ideas that I'm sure will continue to progress from this point onwards. So well done for that. Yeah, today, as Alvin said, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of the importance of creating not only a highly sort of decentralized metaverse, but also the idea of a highly accessible metaverse. You know, I think a lot of times with blockchain, the ideas and the innovation come before user experience and accessibility. And I think, now we see big tech, big corporations like Meta or Facebook, I guess we'll just call them Facebook, it's probably easier, entering into the scene. You know, we know that those guys are going to be very much focused on mainstream accessibility. Anything they're doing is going to be accessible to the masses. And I think we have to kind of bear that in mind as well with what we're doing. So yeah, past couple of years, I think we've seen society move sort of deeper and deeper into cyberspace. And I think, stuff that maybe we wouldn't have imagined a couple of years ago has become very mainstream. So the idea of sort of socializing in a remote way has become a very mainstream idea. Remote working, of course, has been sort of gathering pace. So I think if we look back to 2003, when the game Second Life came out, which was maybe a really early iteration of the metaverse, at that time, it was a very niche, sort of marginalized sort of idea. And I don't think it really resonated with the mainstream. But now where we are, I think society is ready for it. Not only is technology there now for it, but actually society is a place where they are ready to sort of get on board with the idea. So the metaverse is happening. I think the question is really, is it going to happen along the lines of a Web3 sort of concept of the metaverse, these very sort of egalitarian ideas where you have a sort of free, open internet using permissionless open blockchains, which are globally hosted, and that's really open for real creativity, or are we going to get a metaverse which is sort of given to us by maybe a handful of very sort of powerful big tech corporations who give us a kind of a prescribed vision of what they think the metaverse should be? Obviously, I think, the former is more exciting. I think there's more possibility for shifting power into the hands of small independent development teams, small independent creators, and that I think gives more freedom and exciting possibilities for users in the metaverse. So I think we have to think then, okay, how are we gonna make that happen? We're going to have this incredibly deep, complex, sophisticated virtual world alongside the physical world. And I think we want to make it as open and as free as possible. Web3 just allows more creativity because you don't have to go for permission from big organizations. You don't have to go and pay sort of economic rents to these big organizations. And so there's just so much more scope, I think, for permissionless open systems that are hosting the metaverse. Yeah. So when we talk about accessibility, I think often the focus has been on scalability. A lot of discussion of scalability, which is absolutely right. The technical limitations of what we're doing right now have to be overcome if we're going to get global adoption. But I think global adoption is about more than just scalability. It's also about figuring out what really appeals to people, and not just people who are, technically minded or already interested in this space, but people on the outside. So Facebook has 3 billion users. They're going to be able to appeal to almost all of them with whatever they do. And we want to be doing the same. So we've got to think about what are the turn-ons, what are the turn-offs for people in mainstream society, and that's really what we are focused on in terms of onboarding users. Yeah. So Alchemy Pay works as a bridge between fiat and crypto economies. And we really provide a lot of on-ramps and off-ramps to get people in and out of those two different economies. And really, the idea is to make it as seamless as possible. Our main flagship product is obviously the payment network we do, which allows merchants to accept cryptocurrencies. And that gives crypto a real world sort of use case in terms of payments, which you could kind of see as an off-ramp. But in terms of on-ramps, what we've been doing in the last year particularly has been focusing on trying to provide layer 1 blockchains, layer 2s, and dApp developers with these fiat payment rails, channels that can allow them to onboard users as easily as possible. And this is where our focus is at the moment. So when we look at the steps that are necessary for people to get involved in a virtual world or in an NFT marketplace, they have to, first of all, start by deciding what exchange they're going to use. They have to find a trading pair. They have to then figure out how they're going to transfer across to their Web3 wallet. And if we can cut out as many of those steps as possible, I think suddenly global adoption seems much more realistic. People want things to be easy. People want things to be simple. And so this is really what we're here to do, to make it as smooth and easy as possible. So in November, for example, last year, we integrated our payment channels with Polygon. And so that means people can directly enter the ecosystem. Yeah, because in the end, you're going to have to go from fiat to crypto. Even the most hardcore sort of crypto evangelist has to realize that unless you're getting paid in crypto or unless you're mining crypto yourself, you are going to have to enter via fiat payment channels. So, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, this is really what we're making accessible to people. And more than just the layer ones, actually going down to the level of individual dApps and individual developers. So, for example, with Polygon, there are around 4,000 dApps hosted on the Polygon protocol. And in theory, we can actually integrate our payment channels to any of those. So we can work with developers and give them our SDKs to help them do that, subject to KYC and AML procedures. But that means we're getting to the point as a society where if an individual who's a complete novice from outside of the blockchain community, maybe completely unfamiliar with the whole system, maybe they find out about a particular virtual world, or they're even just interested in a particular event that's happening in a virtual world, suddenly they can enter that very, very directly. And I think that's really going to push adoption in a big way if we can get people onboarded in the most direct ways possible. Another aspect that we're thinking about a lot as well is the idea of the metaverse as kind of the multiverse, the idea that this will be a multi-chain thing. Yeah, this kind of complex virtual world is going to be open and hosted on multiple different chains. I think we have moved away from the idea of one chain to rule them all. We've kind of moved to the idea that, we need collaboration, we need bridging. At Alchemy Pay, we're very much focused at the moment on, we're in discussions with an organization about providing cross-chain swaps and cross-chain capability. We want it to get to the point where, the Web3 metaverse, hosted on multiple different chains, a user can sign in with one particular Web3 wallet, and then they can take their NFTs or they can take their value and they can have that accessible to them on another chain in another virtual world. That's hosted on another chain. And of course, there's technical difficulties behind that. But I think, again, that's about providing a really open, really flexible, really limitless metaverse, and again, what would separate the Web3 metaverse from maybe, what something like Meta is working on, or Facebook is working on. So this is something for the future that really needs to be focused on as well. Along those lines, actually, the Blockchain Infrastructure Alliance is something that Alchemy Pay founded back in October of last year. And that is bringing together lots of leading industry leaders, entities in blockchain. So various layer ones, layer two. So we've got Polygon, Avalanche, Neo, Nia, IoTex, among many others as members of the BIA. And that really brings about communication, collaboration, cooperation between these different blockchains. And we think that's really going to help create a more cohesive, a more coherent sort of blockchain industry, which is able to sort of provide a very strong service to users and provide, competition to some of these big tech giants. Yeah. So another thing actually that the BIA is doing is providing funding for new projects. So some of the people, the teams who are working in the hackathon might be interested in that. We are incubating projects. We're always on the lookout for new promising projects that we can get behind and nurture. So that's another aspect of the Blockchain Infrastructure Alliance. So do look into that. So yeah, overall, I think 2022 is going to be a very exciting one. The whole metaverse discussion really picked up last year. And I think the whole idea has gone mainstream, is going to continue to get more and more press. And so I think it's going to be a very, very exciting year to come. As I said, thank you very much for allowing us to participate in this event. It really has been our honor and our pleasure to be part of it. We've really enjoyed seeing what the projects have been coming up with. And we really wish all of you the best of luck with what you're doing and with your developments in the future. So thank you very much. Good luck. Have a great 2022. And I shall pass it back over to you, Alvin.